Okay, it is September 24th, 2011. We're at the Military Museums and we're interviewing Vern Harvey. Interviewers are James Baldwin and Karen Cooner, and this is tape 2. So Vern has just been talking about taking oranges from Spain. He's on the Hampstead Park ship and he's going to land in Liverpool, and they have these oranges aboard. Tell us about your orange story.
We arrived in the port of Liverpool at quite early in the morning, and of course the first thing that happens is the tugs come alongside and take you to a docking area. So as we closed in, getting close to the docks, we saw some kids on the side of the harbor, and we threw oranges to them. Well, these kids just went crazy trying to find oranges and so on. And as we went along, the kids followed us, and by the time we got to the dock where they were going to tie us up, there must have been 100 kids out there, and they were all getting oranges. We used up all the oranges on the deck that had been put aboard just for the crew.
And that's probably the first oranges some of those kids had probably ever seen.
Hadn't seen an orange before, because another thing that happened is that some of us, a couple of us particularly, my buddy and myself went to a bar over in Liverpool there, and we filled our Burberry pockets with oranges, and we walked into the little bar there, and we put them on the counter and said, do what you want to with them, and they would actually they raffled them off 3 at a time to the people that were in there, and everybody was having a great time. So we just told them to put the money in, put whatever they had there for a jar for helping somebody, the poor or whatever. And we went back to that place all the time we were in Liverpool, and we never bought a drink. Every time we went over, we took some oranges.
That's a great story. Vern, I wanted to ask you about your promotions, because you started out as a junior radio.
I was the 3rd radio officer aboard the Algonquin Park on the first trip. Now, I can't tell you why I became, but the captain, Hill Wilson, was a great captain. He was a good man, and he and I got along very well together all the time we were on the ship, and it turned out I got most of the important messages on that first voyage, and the second trip was being planned, and the captain came to me and asked me if I would be the chief radio officer, which of course I was quite happy to do so. And it was as simple as that. I became the chief radio officer in the Algonquin Park, and I was on all the other ships. I was chief radio officer. I never had any other status.
What was life like on deck, or rather on the ship? Was
boring.
it?
But no. You made your own fun or whatever you wanted to do in your off time. We slept a lot, and we were on 4 hours and off 8. So during that 8 hours, you spent some time sleeping, and you were eating, and you were reading or whatever you wanted to do. Sometimes some people, there was card games were going all the time, and I know I got involved in one card game, and that first trip across the Pacific, we went for 30 days, I believe. The people changed, but the card game just kept going. Actually, at the end of the trip, I had made $30. I didn't even know about it.
I guess if you'd been in the engine room, maybe it'd be a tougher slog, would it? Was it a cushier job being a radio operator?
Oh yes, without any doubt, it was the best job on the ship. We were spent 4 hours sitting in front of the radio with your headphones on.
So, Vern, do you remember what you were doing or on VE Day, Victory Europe Day?
VE Day, we pulled into Bombay.
That would have been your second, on your second voyage?
Second voyage.
Okay, but did you, any parties or any memorable experiences?
No, there was nothing that was at all different. It was just do your duties, and that was it, sort of thing.
Do you remember anything special then on VJ or Victory Japan Day?
We were at sea, actually, on one of those on that small ship in VJ Day, and there it was just standing your watch and so on. We in the radio chat we got the word and passed the word down, but the captain never bought any drinks or anything like that.
So did you volunteer to serve after VE or VJ? Like, how did that work?
The end of the year. I stayed until the end of 1945.
I know this is hard to look back on. Was there a time that maybe you had your greatest fear or your greatest, or not a great, but one of your great moments of, like, when you look back, where does this fit in your life? Like, is there a place?
No particular one spot. That trip from Gibraltar to England, where we went in the southern Irish Sea there, the trip from Gibraltar up to the entrance to the Irish Sea was pretty exciting. There was a lot of fighting going on with submarines coming and going. They seemed to have submarines that would come out and attack us, and then they'd disappear, and maybe a day later there was another group came in, and so on. You were pretty much on watch all the time, you know.
Okay.
I would say that was probably
That was the highlight of your war.
One area that we were involved pretty well all the time.
What did you do after the war, after you got out of the service, your merchant marine service?
I had a terrible time, to tell you the truth, because when I left my ship at the end of the year, after when I had that 30 days leave, didn't get any pay, I went to Toronto. As a matter of fact, my wife today was my girlfriend at that time, and she lived in Toronto, and I was spending a lot of time there in Toronto, and so I went to the manpower office, they called it, and I went in, and they took me in to an office. There was a little guy sitting there, and he had a big folder in front of him, a big booklet. And he just sat there, and I walked in, and he said, "What can I do for you?" I said, "Well, I'd like to get some employment. I'd like a job." And he said, "Okay, what's your qualifications?" And I told him what I could do and where I wanted to work. And so he said, "What did you do last?" And I said, "I was 3 years in the Merchant Navy." He closed the book, stood up, and said, "I can't help you. I'm saving the jobs for veterans." So
you were obviously pretty frustrated, obviously, at that point.
I got a serious. I worked in a couple of radio factories. I got my first experience with Philco in developing a 17-inch television set. I was working in there on that one, and I was involved quite a bit on that one. But usually they were short jobs, because after they had the program finished, they'd release you. So I was in and out of several. I worked for Admiral, I worked for Philco, and I ended up wasn't, so I didn't have a steady job until about 1954. It was most difficult.
And do you think that was directly as a result of having that stamp of Merchant Marine Service?
Oh, of not being in the armed forces, the so-called armed forces.
So your contribution was not recognized at all?
We weren't classed as veterans until
92?
1970, 19...
In 1992, after a lengthy battle, merchant mariners were granted official status as veterans eligible to receive disability pensions, allowances, and health care.
1992.
Yeah.
Until then, we were just civilians.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, because I think we want to talk a little bit about that, but I wanted to go back to wartime. Other than your British snotty admiral, or whatever he was, did you ever get a sense that you were a lesser importance than, say, the Navy or armed service? Like during the wartime itself, did you have that feeling maybe that your importance wasn't recognized?
We knew this, what we were doing, without any doubt.
Yes.
There, and I don't think we felt inferior in any way, shape, or form. You know. And like we'd go into a port, for instance, and we'd go into a bar or something, and you'd meet a guy that was on a convoy escort, and he would be feeling sorry for these slow-moving freighters that they had to protect. And at the same time, we would talk to somebody that was on a Corvette, and in bad weather we would see that thing on the top of a crest, and then it'd disappear for a while, and we'd feel sorry for them. No, you didn't.
You felt like you were very much part of the team.
We did. We felt we were pretty much involved.
Clearly you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what other situations can you recall after the war about this issue? Because today, in the books that you read, they openly say the government dealt with you guys very inappropriately. Like it was there was some political reasons to do this. So, did you have any other
I did have
comments
one.
on that?
I gave you a letter up there that I received from the armed forces, where I had applied for some training, some additional training.
And I just want to get these two documents referred. So that's your one. That's that one. And that's your other one.
That's it.
And so in that letter, basically, what are they saying to you simply? Do you remember, like in simple forms, what are they saying to you in that letter? It's just,
that's just a typical answer.
so your whole training application is just turned down because you're not a veteran
You're not
in
a
their
veteran.
minds.
That's right.
Yeah,
You're not a veteran.
yeah. And in the other one, just to paraphrase, the guy calculates for you, tells you to go and take, you have 30 months leave.
Yeah.
You go take 30 months leave, except it says what?
30 days leave.
30 days, sorry.
Yeah.
30 days leave, sorry. Except
Yeah, that's it.
30 days, but no
discussion.
pay.
No pay.
So they sent you on leave, but didn't tell you there wasn't any pay
That's right.
until you came back.
That's right.
Yeah.
You came back and they said, sorry, nothing for you. Had your pay structure been different than other naval veterans?
Yes, it was. Like as a chief radio officer, I got $100 a month, and I got $44.50, I think, a month war risk bonus. And but I worked it a little different. All the time I was there, I would sign aboard a ship, and then our ship was in a Canadian port and loading cargo, And I had arranged with the captain to get a week off. And I was getting paid $100 a month plus $44.50 while I was signed on that ship. So I was doing all right. But I didn't realize that when the Merchant Navy gave you a leave, they didn't pay you. I didn't realize that until the end of the war, because I never had a leave from those people. I got my leaves from the ships.
Okay.
And during the war, any leave that you took, you were paid?
Mm-hmm. By the ship's company.
Did you ever receive any recognition from a government letter after 1992 that just said, we value your contribution, or was there anything like that?
No.
They do have a book of remembrance for
They have a book
now.
of remembrance in Ottawa now.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the total losses of Merchant Navy seamen were during the war?
I don't know the figure. I've seen it, but I don't
It's in
know.
there. Yeah. It is in there. But one thing Karen and I wanted to get on camera for sure. I mean, we both we like to have a little bit of an open. Is there anything else that you wanted to? Anything about the? Yeah, I know we focused a bit on the Japanese, but that doesn't matter. It can be on. Is there anything else that you can remember in your experiences that were good memories, or anything that you wanted to add?
No, I always admired the British Admiralty during our period at sea, because we were always report the time we were leaving a port and our speed and the time we expected to get to the next port. And this applied a lot of times when we didn't have escorts. But the British Admiralty outside of London, at Rugby, outside of London, knew exactly where we were at all times. And they sent us messages. When they sent us a message telling us, like I got a message one time in the Indian Ocean that there was enemy activity ahead of us, to go 200 miles, 90 degrees to our course, and then continue on a parallel course. We didn't see any action. But the fact that the Navy, the British Admiralty in London, or outside of London, at Rugby, knew exactly where we were and where the enemy activity was taking place. I thought that was very effective.
Yeah.
1 in 8 merchant seamen didn't make it home.
It's a higher rating. Yeah, it's one of the highest ratings.
Yeah. The total loss is, as of the Book of Remembrance, is 1,629 merchant seamen in the Canadian Book of Remembrance.
Okay, so Vern, we're coming to an end here, and first off, we wanted to thank you. And like the literature in the books were saying, it's kind of now recognized that the Merchant Marine was really ignored quite a bit in relation to the government and everyone's knowledge on that. So just on behalf of the Military Museums and other Canadians, we want to thank you, because we think this information you're providing will actually kind of fill in some of those gaps and help people understand. So we sincerely do want to thank you, and your information is going to be awesome, and we hope that some of your artifacts we can work in and either get copies, and they can come out in the exhibit. So thank you.
Thank you, Vern.
You're welcome.
Yep.